Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on another edition of Haute Living, Haute Residence Game Changers. I'm Eric Haas, Director, Haute Residence, Haute Living. We have another amazing lineup here today with top agents that are partners of ours all across the country. Thanks so much for joining us on Facebook Live as well as on Zoom. We're looking forward to hearing everything going on with real estate in the luxury space, of course, locally and globally from these great agents that we have on with us. We also know things are changing so quickly. With COVID, we thought it was over, and boom, it's not. So it looks like it may be here to stay for a while. And we have different markets in different countries actually as well to get feedback on what their market's like with everything. So let's get right into it. And I don't even really need to be here because before I got on, these guys were all talking. So I'm gonna kind of lay back, let these guys talk it out for sure. I just want to introduce everyone first before we get into the questions. First of all, I want to introduce Steve Nassar, who's in both Washington and Oregon, of course. I know top 5 in the past 12 months, if not longer, in the Portland market. Also founded the Premier Property Group. And I know you're also in a lot of areas in Washington as well. Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to hearing your insight. And hopefully I got your bio right as well. And pronounce your name right.
It's Nassar, Steve Nassar. But you were warm. You were warm. You're close. Yeah, and I am I live in Lake Oswego, which is right in the Portland metro area, and Portland is unique in its own way in that we're right on the border of Washington. I mean, you can drive 20 minutes and you're in Washington. So our biggest suburb is Vancouver, which is Washington. So like a lot of other agents in our area, I'm dual licensed. I have licenses in both Oregon and Washington, and we serve both states. Yeah.
And I know that Washington's an area that has a lot of vineyards as well now, right? That compete with some of the vineyards in other areas. But I believe that's been a big draw now for that area, Vancouver and some of the surrounding areas there, correct?
Yeah, as well as Oregon.
Yeah.
Pinot Noirs are big here. Walla Walla, Washington has some really good reds, cabs, and they've done very well as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it's almost 5 o'clock here in the East Coast, so I can excuse myself with a drink and say it's happy hour. Not quite.
There you
One
go.
more hour.
Well, it's 1 o'clock here, but I've been known to do the same earlier. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, right?
Absolutely. Well, we look forward to your insight and everything. Let me introduce everyone else, then we'll come back over to you. Next, I want to make sure I pronounce everyone right. Elisa Linton, which is easier. I believe that's correct, right? And Humble, which is outside Houston. So you do the Houston market in Humble. Originally from St. Croix, which I love St. Croix. There was a no-name restaurant when I was growing up. I went to it with my parents. I don't know if you know that. But we just got a new partner in St. Croix. That's actually a great market too, as well internationally. But we're excited to have you on. And I know you're with Compass. And hopefully let us know anything that I didn't add in the bio or get your name right. Spelled correctly or pronounced correctly.
Yeah, so you pronounced my name correct. You did it good on the first try, so awesome. Nice to be here. Looking forward to just chatting with everyone and being around all these other real estate masterminds. The market is crazy, and we're definitely doing our part to ensure that we protect our clients' interests. So happy to be here. Absolutely, and hopefully it's not too hot down there. I know this time of year it gets over 100. Is it over 100? It's hot here. It's very hot.
Well, hopefully the market's as hot as the weather. That's a beautiful thing. All right, we'll come back over to you. I just want to introduce everyone else. We also have on with us Vanessa Neumann-Andrews, who's over in Carefree, Arizona. The best name of all time, Carefree.
Isn't that the best?
I want to live in Carefree.
You'll all remember me because I have another website called thecarefreerealtor.com. I figured if they don't remember my name, they'll remember that.
Yeah, and it looks like it's a perfect day with weather. The wind's blowing a little bit.
It is. It's actually, I'm not inside, and I'm sorry I was moving around so much. I'll stay still. It's actually just beautiful here right now. It's about probably about 89, 90 right now where I am, and it's a little bit humid, but we have had crazy weather this last week, and the week before it was up into the about 118, then it went down to 90, and here we are. And for those of you that don't know where Carefree is, it's Scottsdale, Phoenix, Arizona, the Phoenix area, and Scottsdale, and this is just far north Scottsdale. The Boulders Resort is right almost next door to my office, the Boulders Resort and Spa, which is pretty well known. And that's where I am, and I'm very happy to be here, and thank you. And I'd love to help any way I can.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us, of course. And I know you're with Russ Lyon as well, which
Russ Lyon, Sotheby's International Realty. They merged a while ago, and yeah, they're just fabulous.
In your market. I feel like every top agent in your market is Russ Lyon. I feel like they.
Well, we pretty much do have a sea of blue signs out there, blue and white signs. But I'll tell you what, Phoenix, if you all don't know this, has actually been on top of the charts for 24 months. It's really phenomenal, consecutively so far. So knock on wood, we've
awesome.
Stayed at the top.
That's awesome. Well, we look forward to hearing more about everything going on over there, and we'll be back over to you in a minute. I just want to introduce the other guys here. Thanks again so much for joining us. Now this one, I want to make sure I'm pronouncing correctly because I am a gringo and I don't want to mispronounce, but Carlo Habet, is that correct?
Habet is fine.
My pronunciation is not perfect, but I know you're in Belize, and I got to tell you, Belize is the most beautiful. The pictures, I've never been there, but the pictures that we see from there, it's just such a beautiful. And my best friend married someone from there and just visited. The pictures he sends me, it's just the most incredible. I know that we were talking about the virtual background, but I mean, it's like those shots from the aerial shots from above, it's incredible. There's nothing like it, right?
It's honestly, I mean, I'm obviously a little biased, but I mean, it's an incredibly beautiful country. I'm happy to call it home. So I'm still here, right? Which says something for the market. But no, happy to be here, to be a part of this, and especially with so many other, high-powered agents. So it should be a great discussion. Thank you guys at Haute Living for making this possible as well.
And it sounds like the phone's ringing. You got some deals going on. You can take the phone.
Sorry, I had to just
we've actually had agents close deals while we're live. Okay.
I know. Sorry.
If we can do that, then that'll be a great promo for us. So
there you go.
We're fine with that.
Actually, fielding calls.
But yeah, I know you're also, of course, you're the president of the Belize National Real Estate Association. So there's no one better to talk to than you about what's going on in Belize. And you're also, and I know you founded your brokerage and you're an international power broker. So I'm sure you do a lot of business internationally. You probably we're in Miami. You probably come up our way every now and then, I'm going to guess.
Not often enough. Actually, I used to frequent Miami probably way too long ago. But I actually did go back not last year, the year before, right before COVID. And I said I would go back, but it's been a challenge. But actually, I do plan a vacation very soon, and Miami is definitely included.
We don't have any mountains here, though, so the terrain's a little different. And then 4 Realty is the company, so it's the number 4 realty.com, right? Not, you don't put the word in.
Yeah, it's just the number 4 Realty. I figure it's simple enough. 4realty.bz actually is his website.
Okay, great. Well, we'll come back over to you. I just want to introduce our other guest, of course, the great Nancy Tallman over in Park City, Utah, which is a colder area than everyone else on here. Nancy, thank you so much for joining us. Is Nancy still here? Or she?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Okay, no, my screen, I apologize. My screen went off for a second. Nancy, of course, you're in Park City, from a wonderful brokerage summit, Sotheby's. So we have some great Sotheby's partners on. I know you're also Sotheby's, and you've been a top agent for many, many years in Park City. And we're very excited to have you aboard with us. And we look forward to your insight as well. And I guess I have to ask you, because the weather's been very warm for everyone else. I'm going to guess in Park City, it's perfect this time of year.
Well, it's been warm for us too. We had several weeks in a row where it hit over 90 degrees, which is warm for us for summer. So, but still, when it was 118 in Carefree, it was, in the low 90s here and no humidity. So we do get a lot of people coming here from Florida, Houston, Arizona, warmer areas, spending the summer here, even though we're kind of known as a ski resort.
Yeah. That's one thing I realized over the years is that you guys have become more of a summertime destination. You're not just wintertime now. A lot of people come in the summer to your area as opposed to being seasonal.
Yeah, I mean, we're almost 4 seasons, really. It's just incredible. Last fall was the busiest fall ever on record for property managers. And I heard that July, the town was like completely 100% booked. Could not find anything.
And are you a skier too? That's an important question.
You have to be if you have winter 6 months out of the year.
Yeah, is that what originally brought you to Park City, was skiing?
No, actually, my husband moved here. We moved here because my husband took a job in Salt Lake City.
Oh, okay.
Loved
Which is
it.
about an hour away, right?
Even closer, half an hour. It's
Oh,
really
wow.
close.
Okay.
We're almost like a suburb of Salt Lake City, but just completely fell in love with the lifestyle. It's
yeah.
wonderful.
Seems like it worked out well for you.
Absolutely.
All right, so we got everyone all over the globe. This is a great panel. Looking forward to everyone's insight. Nancy, we'll come right back over to you. Let's start with the questions. I'm going to go back over to Steve, who's on the border of Oregon and Washington in the vineyards. And just want to find out from you, the first question obviously is things have been so fluid and changing so quickly with everything with the new regime of government, COVID's gone, COVID's back. And I'm going to guess your market is a market that's a great market where people would move to for safety reasons and to get more clean living and more space. But I guess, it's an open-ended question. Tell us more about how things have gone this year with COVID and how you project things moving forward for your markets.
Yeah, well, I mean, when it first hit, I think like everybody probably on this panel, we thought the world was shutting down, and including our world. And in Washington, like California, I don't think we have any Californians here. The governor initially deemed real estate not to be a essential business. So literally you couldn't show homes or do anything in Washington. Now, Oregon never did that. And so, yeah, I mean, we initially for a couple months, we were circling the wagons, looking at our teams and wondering where we can make cuts and expecting the worst. And slowly but surely, as we all know, I mean, it couldn't have gone further the other way. And a giant tsunami of business just hit us, resulting in most agents that I know having the best year ever, even though, which is kind of mind-boggling, because the first 5 months were kind of messed up, right? And so for the latter 7 months to create the best year ever for so many was pretty amazing. But there was a lot of adapting that was required. I think I was fortunate. I do a regular podcast here in our market, and we had just started using Zoom. In the past we had used Skype, and just before COVID, like a month or two before, my co-host said, "Hey, let's use this Zoom thing." I was like, "What's Zoom?" And so we started using it, and I was like, "Oh, this is kind of cool. You can interact with people. You can see them. You're kind of looking in their eyes, and they're looking in your eyes," it was a good experience. So when COVID hit, immediately, I took my team of 16 people, and I said, "We're going to use Zoom to meet. And we're going to do this with clients." And so I think that was probably one of the best things that came out of COVID, was the realization that we could now get together with our clients or each other in a very efficient manner and have very productive engagement. We can share our screen. They can see exactly what we're showing them. Within a short amount of time, a month or two, I had perfected my Zoom listing presentation, which till this day, I will tell you, I'm so much better at getting business via Zoom than I am going in person and trying to show them on my screen. Look, here's the video I'm going to do. Here's the marketing I'm going to do. It just works so well. So I was able to able to bring in a lot of business that way. And we adapted with, how showings were done, how listing appointments in person were done. But that was a huge benefit as well, is just, learning to adapt. I mean, if there's anything that I've learned from COVID is like, you don't know what's going to change, and just be ready for that change and change quickly.
Yeah, no, very well said. And we talked with a lot of top agents across the country, internationally. And that's definitely one thing I feel like a lot of them say is the flexibility and adjusting and adapting to the situation. Do you have any success story? If you have one, great success story. I know you just laid out a lot of them with the overall spectrum, but is there one situation that you want to share with us where it was kind of a COVID challenge turned into a great happy customer and during the COVID situation the last year and a half? Do you have anything that would be a great story to share with us?
Gosh, can I think about it? Come back.
All right, well, I'll ask you another question, and we'll come back to that. Tell us more about your podcast.
Yeah, so I actually, I've been doing that now for 6 years. Believe it or not, we started podcasting before anyone knew what podcasts were. In fact, I think when my co-host first brought it up to me, I was like, "What's a podcast?" He's like, "It's on-demand radio," and he's like, "It's the future." And I was like, "Okay, let's do it." And so we have it's called the Portland Real Estate Podcast. We've done 170 some shows, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Our listener base is mostly professionals, mostly insiders, other realtors, industry insiders, but it's a tremendous credibility for me when I'm interviewing with a seller or a buyer for that matter. And as I'm saying, here's my resume. Hey, part of my presentation is like, I'm the professional, I'm the expert that the other experts go to. I have a podcast, it's listened to by other agents. Do you want to work with one of them or the guy they're all listening to for the inside information, what's happening, what's working, and what's going on in real estate? And so that's where it's been helpful for me with business is, I'm also a broker owner. So I'm one of the partners at Premier Property Group. We're the biggest brokerage in Oregon. We have 1,100 agents out of 11 offices. And so it has helped with recruiting as well.
Awesome.
But I will say, the one thing I'll say about that, to wrap up, you got to give before you receive.
It's early. It's early.
No, I mean on that podcast.
Someone else though, but I got you. Go ahead.
But I mean, for a podcast to be successful, it has to add value to people. It has to have good content, good resonation to the others that creates value for them. Or you can't just be in it because, I want to have the credibility or I want to grow my brokerage. I mean, that's the wrong reason. We initially started it because it would be fun to share our experiences, and then those are some of the benefits that have come along the way.
Awesome. And so where do we find the podcast at?
Everywhere you find podcasts, the Portland Real Estate Podcast.
Okay. And then I know on your website too, I believe
there's a link there as well. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
SteveNassarTeam.com has a link to it, and all the standard. We've actually gone to a format very much like this, where we stream it live on Facebook, and that was a change that was kind of surprising, because in the early days of the podcast, well, first of all, it wasn't even video; it was just a podcast in the purest form. But we would actually do a podcast. Then one of our producers would clean it up and make it perfect, take out blunders or whatever, and clean it up. And what we learned was it's more genuine, and listeners appreciate it more if it's live, because they realize that it's the real deal. It's the real deal, and being able to engage. And that was so we have a Facebook group here in our area that has 7,000 real estate agents on it. Wow. So we stream it live into that Facebook group, and then they can chat live with us and ask questions. That's been really cool and a great addition to it as well.
Awesome. I agree on all you just said, 100%. Everyone loves it more. That's natural live, and in this day and age, it's more real as opposed to professionally doing everything and editing and all that stuff. So especially on social media, we found that when you run social media ads or anything on social media, the professional videos don't score as highly as the home videos. So, which is crazy, but it's that people want to see that stuff. They want it to be real. They want to keep it real on social media. So all great points. We'll come back over. Let's go over to in Houston and Humble, Texas, where it's very, very hot. Elisa, but probably no hotter than St. Croix. It's that time of year. So Same question for you to start out. Tell us about how COVID's affected you, your market, and how things are going right now, and how you project it to go for you and your market in Texas and Houston and the surrounding areas there moving forward for the rest of this year and beyond.
All right, awesome. Yeah, very similar to the situation that Steve had. COVID hit and we were doing okay. The Houston market was, doing its thing in the beginning of the quarter, and then COVID put a stop to everything. However, our mayor did deem real estate as essential, so we kept going. I had a period maybe of like 10 days where everything kind of froze. And then after that, it was like the floodgates opened. My phone just did not stop ringing. Once people realized they had to stay home, and they realized that home was not what they expected it to be or would like it to be, they quickly decided to make a decision and get the home that they and their families, needed, wanted. We found homes with pools, definitely rose to the top of the list. If you listed a house with a pool, it went off the market within minutes because all the parks closed down. Exactly. So all the parks closed, McDonald's closed, so all the things that people did, they couldn't do anymore. So they had to recreate that at home. So people in apartments with 3 kids realized, no, I cannot do this anymore. So I need to, change my housing location. So for sellers, it became an instant seller's market. I mean, to this point right now, we have all of our apartment complexes are overloaded with people that have sold their home and now can't find a place to live. So we're definitely struggling with low inventory in our market, but it's still good. The market is still hot. And to your point about the heat, I just came from St. Croix last week and I thought it was hot there. I came back here and I realized it was not hot in St. Croix. It is hot here in Houston.
Well, you get the island breeze in St. Croix.
COVID, yes.
You don't get the island breeze in Houston.
Yes, exactly. But COVID definitely has allowed me to grow my team. I now have 2 buyers agents. So I went from being a single agent to now having 2 agents. The workload is definitely there. I'm having fun learning and growing my business. And into 2021, we are still, rocking and rolling. So Houston market is still hot. It's still an active seller's market. Homes, days on the market are still low. Inventory is still low. And of course, interest rates, big part, are still low. So, both buyers and sellers are able to take advantage of this market and, come out on top. And my goal is to be there to assist them with each transaction. So.
Great. Tell us more about Humble and Kingwood. I guess obviously that's a little bit outside of Houston, and you specialize in those areas. And that's where your office, I believe, is there, right?
So my office is more in the Woodlands, but I do live in the Humble, Atascocita area, or as we consider like the Northeast Houston area, because Houston is just very, very large. It's too big of a pill to kind of swallow. But in this market right here, I do a lot of new construction. So we are having to kind of move out a little bit more just because, the builders need more land to build the homes. So the market is still extremely hot. And buyers are still looking for homes. So the days on markets is still very, very low right now. So trying to find homes for clients is part of the market frenzy that we're dealing with. A lot of my buyers right now are having to be very creative with financing in order to get their offers accepted. Because it's a seller's market, we're seeing a lot of sellers definitely capitalize on the market. They're definitely getting multiple offers. They are definitely getting above list price. However, appraisals have actually been coming in good. So we've been getting, the market's been good for everyone. So we're just hoping that that's gonna stay there so that we can continue to see all that growth. In addition to the amount of buyers that are coming in from out of state. California, New York, Florida, because you can work from home now, they can live in a state where the cost of living is not that high. So Houston definitely still offers that. So people are coming in here, by the plane loads, and, we're just trying to find them homes.
Terrific. And out of the areas that you just mentioned, are any of them areas that maybe previously you would not have thought would come to Texas and now they are? What's some of the different areas that are flocking to Houston and the surrounding areas that maybe previously before COVID didn't?
So the areas here in the Houston area?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've been getting a lot of traffic in like the New Caney area, which was not densely populated. Yeah. Cleveland area, Huffman, a lot of Dayton, Baytown, a lot of these little sub cities. Yeah. That were not very in demand. They are becoming a lot more in demand. Their price points are definitely increasing. A lot of people are enjoying the fact that they can get homes with land. Yeah. That's rare. I had one buyer come from DC and she's like, $400,000. I had to go up. I'm like, well, $400,000 can get you up and across. You can get a nice piece of land and you can get a beautiful home and a stately home at that price point. So these areas are definitely affording people from, areas with higher cost of living to have, a much better footprint in their home buying needs. So it's been interesting.
Great. Well, congrats on all the success. We'll definitely come back over to you with more questions. Let's go over to Vanessa now, over in Carefree, and she's got the wind blowing in her hair. She's carefree, and Vanessa, would love to hear how things are going. I know that Arizona, another area that people have been flocking to with regards to safe living, more space. Having a pool, like was just mentioned by Elisa, and people are moving to those areas. So you're obviously an area that's been hot too. We'd love to hear how things are going for you so far with COVID and what you project moving forward.
Yeah, it's very, very similar to what she was saying for us as well. And we have a tremendous number of golf courses here, and people they definitely want more space. They want more land and the pool, and they want the home office, and they want it to expand. And the golf course memberships even just exploded from Desert Mountain down to Paradise Valley, which just phenomenal. I spoke to membership directors before COVID hit, and we were still doing well, but then all of a sudden, like she said, the floodgates opened, and they were just selling hundreds. And there's now literally like probably about 200 people on a waiting list, where there may have been one or two, to get in on these memberships. And our average price of homes right now in Scottsdale, south of us, is about 1.2 million. That's the average. And that stays pretty steady. And but we have everything here, and it's just done phenomenally well. And I don't see much slowing down. There's still just hundreds of thousands of people coming in the forecast. And the forecast, they say, I just looked at it 2 days ago from the Cromford report. They say in the zip code where my office is, 85266, which is right on the border of Carefree and North Scottsdale. And for 5 years, they show us with an upward trend. They don't show any slowing down at all. And that's what we're seeing here. It's been wonderful, and hopefully it'll keep going for a while.
That's great news. Where are you finding people coming from with regards to outside your area? Where's the main areas they're coming from?
California, Washington, Florida, New York, but mainly a lot of California. I'm actually
it seems like everyone's saying the same thing.
Yeah, and it's kind of always been that way too. I remember, and I was even in Texas for a while, even in the Woodlands, my dear. I was there briefly, and in Dallas. And I remember at that time, long time ago, people were coming in from California and Florida to sell for higher prices and then move to Texas to get more land. And here, our prices have almost doubled on some of the homes, let's say in the 400,000 range. They were 200,000, you know, a year and 2 years ago. So they have doubled, but the higher we get, it's not quite so high. But to answer your question, pretty much coastal cities, and they're coming here full time. And as a matter of fact, the biggest state right now for me would be Minnesota. Probably there's been many. I think many have told me they're tired of the cold.
Yeah, I can see that. And California, I know that I guess you've probably seen an influx from Northern California, those people that were working in Silicon Valley who can work at home now, and there's just not many places they can go to. I'm sure, you know, I know Steve, I'm sure, is seeing some of that too in your area as well. And also Nancy in Park City, you guys probably are getting a lot of those bites from those people.
Yeah, we do. I have a question. Actually, believe it or not, and Vanessa, congrats on being, you know, the state where the top of the list where everybody's moving for 24 months. We were there in Portland back in 15, 16. We were there ourselves, but COVID has changed things. And I'm curious, I have a question for you. Do you, because we have a lot of Oregonians moving to Arizona, a lot of them. And if they're usually pretty vocal that it's for political reasons. They want to get out of, you know, a state that was so hard on COVID and has a lot of, it's just very blue, to be completely honest. And they want to go somewhere where there's people like-minded with them. Do they say that? Do you hear that a lot when you're working with these buyers? I mean, are they vocal about that, or does it seem like it's more because?
No, well, California, and of course that's where I'm from. It's really hard and difficult. I still have family there, and in that case, they pretty much they really don't bring up politics. That's kind of rare. What they do say is from California that most people just can't afford to live there anymore, and they're just so sad and disgusted about the state that it's in. And Oregon, I don't have that much experience from people from Oregon, just a few. And I'm trying to remember, there was one recently where they still kept their house there, a very grand home, about an $8 million house. And I think they wanted to test the waters out down here. They were able to keep the other one still, but they were afraid of what's happening, just kind of the lawlessness. And they just really didn't know what to do. So they, in that particular case, maybe somebody else has, I haven't had that many that I can really think of from Oregon, just a few, but, and to answer your question, no, they really don't. Most of the people I've dealt with, sure, there's always a few that are very vocal about their politics, but usually no, it doesn't come up much. And it's a big mix down here too. It's not really one way or the other. It's both, or not.
Because I have a lot of sellers that are leaving the area, and this is all recent. Like I said before, 5 years ago, everybody was coming here. Now it's only in the last year or two that we have. And to be fair, we're also getting other people, like you said, from the Bay Area and California ourselves. So as of right now, I mean, we still have a ton of demand for housing, and we have a lot of buyers. It's very much a seller's market, but we do have, for the first time in a long time, where we're seeing people leave the area and go in droves, and they bring up, like you said, some of those issues, homelessness issue, taxes have been kind of, it seems like there's a movement to tax people that are doing well, and then some of that money goes to the homeless or whatever, and there's just a disgust with that. But it feels to me like, and this is where I was going, COVID has just exacerbated that, because everybody was just so confined and so locked up that there wasn't all the normal day-to-day stuff to distract you, maybe to take your mind off of that stuff. And so they're just on social media, they're brooding, and it will be, I was having this
comfortable. People have got comfortable online more than before.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to me at some point when COVID's completely in our rearview mirror and everything's back to normal and everyone's distracted by everything, how much that dies down and
we've been talking about that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And it'll be and it's interesting to me that so many of these people are making life-changing decisions about where they're going to live for the rest of their lives during a time period that's so crazy and volatile. I wonder if there'll be regrets in the future. If there'll be, 5 years from now, some of these people who are moving to these other areas will go, you know what? Things are better in a few of these departments, but maybe they're, they traded some issues along the way. Some other areas.
Perhaps they were thinking about it anyway. Maybe they were thinking about coming to Arizona to retire.
Yeah.
And that just pushed them to do it.
The good news for the realtors is they'll have to move again. They'll
Yeah,
move and they'll say, hey, I gotta move again. I'm not happy where I'm at. So
Well,
you guys don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, we benefit with motility, that's for sure. Yeah.
Well, send them over. I need people from Oregon.
Yeah.
There you go.
Isn't that always the case, though? Everyone overreact. I mean, isn't that the case in history? If you look back, the overreaction of things, when there's a change in the market, just a huge overreaction, and then it kind of evens it. It always evens out somehow, though,
Yeah. Yeah.
One way or another. But yeah, let's go over, speaking of that, let's go over to internationally here, to the beautiful Belize area with Carlo. Same question to start out, Carlo. And I'm sure you're getting a lot of people that are coming, investing now that were thinking about doing it previously, and now they're really doing it because they want to get in that safe area with a lot of land as well. So we'd love to hear how things are going with you with COVID and how you've adapted and how you project things moving forward.
Sure. I think similar to the other guys, we felt like the world was ending for a period. That lasted about a month, actually. So I think we had I think it was April, where we just stopped getting any sort of activity. And the other members from the association, we would talk to them from time to time, and they also had a similar experience. But then something happened in May. I don't know what happened because the virus didn't go away. But then the demand sort of flooded back in. And I guess to answer one of the earlier questions, we were doing a lot of Zoom, FaceTime, WhatsApp video showings, but people still wanted to kind of come down and close in person. I guess there's still that. But for us, it's really a different market in general that we deal with. I mean, I guess it's a similar, price category, but there's sort of different considerations. I don't know if I'm happy to report, but I guess for you guys, for your buyers that want to buy international property, happy to report that it's still pretty much a buyer's market in Belize. Although I feel that I don't think it will last much longer. So what I'm telling my clients right now, my investors, my kind of repeat investors that come back, this is sort of the time. And I think maybe have another few months before things really rebound and people realize that, the prices are going to kind of continue an upward trend, because they have been going up over the years, and this sort of put a pause on them. People were wondering if they would even maybe, make a correction, and it did not actually. So they've kind of frozen, which is good news because I do anticipate them climbing again. So I think this is the time to invest in Belize. I think also another huge plus, I think, is that the preferences, the buyer preferences are being better met when it comes to things like space, and I think especially style. I think finishing was one of the things whereby a lot of Americans and Canadians, some Europeans to an extent, would come in and they would see things that they love, like the location, but the actual style of it, it didn't quite meet their, their preferences, which I guess is a little more contemporary, things like that. So I think that those tastes have kind of caught up in general. So I think for people that are coming, from nicer destinations, they're able to find that real, I guess, fit and finish that they're used to. So I think that's actually a big plus going forward, because a lot of developments are already in progress when COVID hit. They kind of pushed through. So now we have a lot of brand new places that are, really very nice and I think ready for international investors.
Vanessa raised her hand. Vanessa, you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question for him. Most of the people that you get in Belize right now, are they coming part-time or full-time? Or you must be getting more people moving there. I would imagine, or at
Yeah.
least until things cool off. But do you know if where did they come from? I'd like to know. Everywhere across our country, or do you notice other countries, or just and are they coming until indefinitely, or did they have to sell their properties before they came? I was just kind of curious what you're seeing.
Yeah. That's actually a really, really good, well, that's a really good couple of questions that I did want to touch on too, just so that, you guys would know what to expect to with your clients. One thing about Belize that is a little, I guess, hairy is that you need to come with your financing ready. It's really hard to find decent financing here, especially when you're looking at, the stuff we're looking at is similar to what Elisa mentioned earlier about like the 400-ish to 500. I would say maybe like 300 to 500 people are willing to put in. A lot of them, rightly so, Vanessa, they are closing a home that they're hoping to then funnel those funds directly into Belize. That would be enough to buy something, usually a house, sometimes a house and a business, or at least have some extras, some savings left over while they kind of get their footing. But Belize does, for retirees, has an excellent program called the QRP program, which is the Qualified Retired Persons. And it allows you to bring in like a whole lot of your personal possessions up to like a boat and a plane completely duty-free. So once you're moving, you can bring all your stuff over tax-free. So that's a good one. And they're actually revising that now to allow those people to continue investing. Because what we found out is that just because you're retired doesn't mean that you want to stop doing things. So, well, just to answer the second part of your question, which was where are they coming from? We find a lot of people from the South generally. So I see a lot of like Florida clients, usually Northern Florida, but sometimes still Central and South Florida. We see a lot of Texans generally looking. And actually, Texas and Belize has had like a really long love affair in that they've been Texan buyers coming out of Belize decades, actually even before we were independent. Sorry?
I believe there was a nonstop flight at one point when I was around, and on that hotel, by the way, I mentioned to you off air earlier, it was an American owner, and he had a title company. He told us that he would tell, if I recall, let me know if you still can use an American title company to close a deal there. And that was also beneficial. People like that. They felt safer using partially American companies to do things like that, the legalities. Is that still the case? Where you can use the title company?
Yeah. And I see it happens, especially in like a market like San Pedro and Burgers Key, which is like it's the hottest market. The prices are like higher than everything else in the country by easily 40-50%. And it's really like an American-driven market. So that's like where a lot of these retirees go to. But as well, people who just are investing. So like you're saying, they're looking to move and invest. And I guess what happens is people kind of move there and they see that it's a spot that has a lot of money flowing through it. It just makes a lot of sense to invest. And so they do that. But I guess in that market, you do have title companies run by Americans. It's not like, for instance, title insurance is not even something that is common in Belize. And you might say, oh, that's like a red flag. It's just that most times, and it's also because we are not officially a regulated industry, we're more self-regulated. We still tend to recommend lawyers who are usually very reasonable. But a lot of agents can do the full one-stop, which is contracting, closing, escrow. That's something I do, for instance. But again, I think if people feel uncomfortable, if they're foreigners, we just encourage a lawyer. And then it also helps a lot with the transfer of money across borders, which can sometimes just be a little cumbersome.
Do people that buy property there now from any country and they own it 100%, even if it's coastal? It's not like Mexico in some places where you used to, lease it for a certain amount of time and you had to be partners with someone from there. So you can own it.
You can. So I mean, Belize, it used to be a British colony, so it has laws that are very much in line with British law and by extension US law. So yeah, it is 100% freehold title. You don't have to be a national. You don't even have to be present. I've sold a lot of properties where people they sign, they get it notarized in the US, they FedEx it over, we lodge it, 100% fine.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
Great stuff. Let's go over to Nancy over in Park City, where it's a little chillier than the rest of us. We all are very jealous of you, of course.
Yes.
We're all a little jealous. Nancy, thanks again so much for joining us in Park City. We'd love to find out from you. I know that we talked a little bit about when we opened up. We'd love to find out more from you about, and I know you told me off the air, so if you can let everyone else know how this last year or so has been with COVID, and also what you project moving forward. It's been such a hot market. I know you've had a great run. Tell us a little bit more about that and what you project.
Yeah, well, it's been a super strong market. Like everyone else, it's been a super strong seller's market. I mean, I think at one point it felt like there were at least 10 buyers for every seller. And kind of what happened with us is that we shut down for about 6 weeks. At first we were deemed non-essential, but we got that changed through some lobbying pretty quickly. And, we were able to work pretty much through the whole shutdown. But it was obviously a different kind of work. It was scary, showing houses, wearing masks, all the PPE. But we were shut down for maybe 6 weeks. And that's it. I mean, and then we opened up around the end of May of last year. And what happened is we saw this huge influx of people, especially from California, who didn't want to live, shut down. And so they came here and they were like, oh my God, it's so normal here. You can eat in a restaurant. Yeah, you had to wear a mask, but we functioned pretty normally starting from the end of May. And that drew a ton of people here, like massive amounts of people. Then you got the people who were able to work from home. They came here, for maybe a month or so, decided they liked it, decided they wanted to buy something. As you know, a lot of the Northern California tech companies told people like, you're not going to be back here for a year and a half.
Some of them remotely forever, I hear.
Some of them what?
Some of them are saying they can be remote now forever, I hear.
Some of them have actually reneged on those promises, which is a whole other interesting.
Oh, wow.
story.
Okay.
Yeah. But so I think, what you had were the fact that we were open. Then our schools were open. They shut down the second semester, spring of 2020, but we opened for live school fall of 2020. Again, huge influx of people. I had people from California, tell me I'm paying $20,000 a year for my kid to be on Zoom for 2 hours a day. No, moving here, I'm going to put them in real school. And, I've had people ask me like, oh, do you think those people from California are going to move back? No, they're going to love it here. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
It's so great.
Mhm.
It's a lower cost of living here. We don't have any of the things that Steve was talking about. We don't have homeless people. We don't have crime. We don't have any of the negatives of big city life, but we have culture and arts and all great food and all the positives. So it's just attracting a lot of people. To answer Steve's question about, do I have people calling me and saying I'm leaving Portland because of the politics? Yes, lots of them. Portland's a big feeder market for us. But I would say California, huge. New York, same thing. I mean, I had a woman tell me yesterday, one of my past clients, I saw a moose in my front yard today. In New York City, all I see are rats. She said the rat population has multiplied during COVID. So I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I heard.
Less people, more rats, huh?
I'd rather see the moose, I think.
I think most people would. Piggybacking on Vanessa,
Yes.
starting last July, we saw huge numbers of people joining our golf clubs. They're all full now. The membership initiation.
And waiting lists. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, and the membership initiation fees went up crazy. One of our clubs.
Crazy.
Doubled. Yeah.
That partial,
Yep.
a partial private and public where they can still have a membership, but they'll still allow people to come in and at least be able to play if they just pay the fee. Some people have lightened up a little bit like that. So they can have their outdoor space.
But yeah, I mean, our golf course communities, Promontory, which is a big one, they had the highest increase of sales in our entire market. So the private golf course communities have been really popular. I think people, you know, a lot of them moved there full time. They moved their families there. They're just interested in, you know, getting away from, you know, the stress of city life. Yeah. I got a good COVID story for you, Eric.
Yeah, I want to hear some.
So
I want to hear it.
Last March, I was listing a house, March of 2020, and a beautiful home. And we were going to put it on the market, and they said, let's wait 2 weeks. Let's wait until, because we want to paint the bathroom cabinets. And they thought it would take about 2 weeks. So we didn't list the house March 1st. We listed it March 15th instead. And then the whole town shut down. And so I use that story a lot when people say to me, do you think I should list now or should I wait a couple weeks? I mean, nobody knows what's going to happen in the 2 weeks, 2 months from now. And it's a great call to action just to say, you know what, I know what the market is today, right now. And nobody could have predicted that our whole country was going to shut down. You know, on March 1st, no one could have predicted that by March 15th, you know, we'd be stuck in our houses. So that really happened, you know. And then I ended up selling that house, but probably for less money than I would have if we had just listed it 2 weeks sooner.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right. No one knew. I remember, I guess March of last year you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
So that was when we thought the world was coming to an end. No one knew what was going on. We certainly didn't think that you'd have a record year of sales. That's for sure.
That's true. I mean, you know, I had a few good listings the beginning of March, and then, you know, I wondered if I would sell another house the rest of the year. And like the rest of you, you know, it really started up for us in June once we were reopening and people started coming here. And I mean, people would call me every day and say, I've never been to Park City, but I want to buy something there. I mean, that never happened before. And I don't know how we got on people's radar, but we did.
The housewives.
Oh, maybe. Yes.
Was there a housewife show?
Too, is that, you know, we are really easy to get to. We're a Delta hub. And so there are direct flights to Park City or to Salt Lake City. From so many major cities. And before COVID, we had 3 direct flights to Europe. So we are easy to get to, unlike some of the Colorado resorts. So that's a big factor for people. And they tell me, you know, I chose Park City because it's easy to get to. My kids can get here, you know, we can get together as a family. And, you know, it's not expensive to fly here because we're a hub, you know, whereas you
had the Olympics there before. Everyone knows Park City.
Yeah.
I remember what year was that? The Olympics were there.
2002.
2002, yeah. And we made
it was Salt Lake, or was it Salt Lake and Park City, or was it just Park City?
Oh, no. Well, they were all over, but there were several in Park City. Yeah.
That was awesome. Yeah, no. I'm sure that helped out a lot too.
It did. And then the other big thing was when Vail bought Park City Mountain. That was another game changer for us, because everyone who had epic ski passes who hadn't skied Park City yet started coming.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we'll definitely come back over to you. And I love that you had a COVID story. I finally got one. So now everyone's had good stories for sure. Let's go back over to Steve. Steve, you can take my job. I mean, you're better at this than I am. I may just have you take over this thing. But at least you know the challenges of running these things, right? It's not as easy as it looks, right?
Sure.
So back over to you. I know you talked about people, people leaving your area, and also a lot of people coming to your area. So you cover a large area too, obviously, with Portland and also over to Washington. Tell us more about the areas you cover, and you know, the positives of both areas the Portland area and also the areas of Washington that you cover.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, geographically, our area is just gorgeous. We have, we kind of have it all. We have the 4 seasons. I heard somebody else say that. I think it was Nancy. And that's a huge selling point of our region is you do get a good taste, but not too much of a taste, right? We knock on wood. This year we did hit 115 degrees with a crazy heat wave, but that was a once in a lifetime type event. Prior to that, usually, you'll get into the 90s a few times here and there, but most of your summers are in the 80s. You get enough snow that it's interesting and fun, but then it goes away real quickly after a few days. Usually you'll get 1 or 2 snow events that last a few days. So everybody's out in the streets making snow angels and snowmen, and then schools shut down and people calling snow days for work. And then all of a sudden, about the time it's starting to get old and boring, it goes away. We have beautiful falls and springs. We're close, we're pretty much a little over an hour away from the ocean, the mountain. You can drive 20 minutes out of downtown Portland and you're in a forest. We've got some beautiful rivers and gorges here. So there is a lot that we have going on geographically, a little bit of everything. Washington, it's very, very similar terrain as well. The border between the 2 states is the Columbia River, which is a massive river that is beautiful. And one of my favorite places in the region is the Columbia River Gorge, and heading out to Hood River. It's actually Hood River is the kiteboarding and parasailing capital of the world because of the wind. Because of the wind there, you'll go out the gorge and you'll just see hundreds and hundreds of kiteboards and parasailers. It's a world famous destination for that, in addition to being a very beautiful place. One thing I was going to touch on, it's a little different, but I thought it was interesting, through COVID, we've talked a lot about COVID. It is interesting how, and I guess maybe this will be my COVID story, even though it's a little different than maybe what you're looking for, but housing needs have changed for people. And I have to think that they're not just temporary. I mean, I think during COVID, people's lifestyles and habits changed in ways that, in most cases, requiring bigger houses, right? And my COVID story is my own.
Yeah.
And more land. Yeah. My COVID story is my story. One that, so up until COVID, I was a gym rat. I would go to the gym 3 times a week, religiously. I had my routine. I had my Starbucks that I stopped on the way, go through my drive-through, get my coffee. As COVID was hitting, those first few weeks, I saw the writing on the wall, like, oh my gosh, I'm not just gonna not work out. So I run to a sporting goods store. And by the way, I was not the only person doing this. There was like a run on weights and all sorts of gym equipment. Yeah. Luckily, I was in time to get, a bench and some weights, and I set up a room in my house, and it was primitive at first, right? But as the months went by, and by the way, the other thing I did was luckily we were one of the first people to buy a Peloton as well, right? I was like, okay, maybe that's another good way to work out at home. As the months went by, we really dialed in that one room. And this was a room of our house we never used before. It was a guest room. And once or twice a year, somebody would come that would stay with us. Other than that, it was a seldom used room. So we took that room of our house, and we have the Peloton, we have the weight set up, and added a TV, and really made it an amazing home gym. And here's where I'm going with this story. Well, COVID lifted. I've not gone back to the gym. Like that is, I love being able to work out at home. And I know I'm not alone in this. I think and I've met with many of my clients who say the same thing, right? Like, I just love working out at home is frictionless. Getting up, getting in your car on the cold day, stopping at Starbucks, driving the 15 minutes to the gym, that's friction, right? It was something between you and your workout. Now you go up a staircase and it's right there, right? I also like that in my gym, if I'm working out and all of a sudden I get an urgent text and I need to call somebody, I can do that for 5 minutes, and there's not a bunch of people around me going, what's he doing? Why is he on the phone? Why is he, it's my gym. I can do whatever I want there. So, but here's where I'm going with this. For the rest of my life, I'm going to need a room that I didn't need a year and a half ago. Right. And while that's my COVID story, my gym, there's other people who have the same story with regards maybe to an office, a second home office, or maybe now they need a garden that they never needed before because they started gardening and they love it. Or you guys talked about golf. Golf has been one of the huge winners in COVID in our market too, right?
Sure.
Think of all these people who now play golf, who started playing golf maybe for the first time or maybe seriously for the first time, and they're never going to go back. So in our business, where it relates to this is housing has changed. And I think COVID did, prior to COVID, and I think during the Great Recession 10 years ago, we noticed a movement towards smaller houses, right? The McMansions were being sold and people were like, oh, we overbought and that was stupid and we learned our mistake and now we're going to have a smaller house. Well, I think COVID has reversed that. I think we're seeing a movement back toward bigger housing because of all these things that people are now using their homes for. So kind of an interesting observation in my COVID story.
Well said. And you guys are definitely all in markets, I believe, that are strong markets for this situation. So you're on the good side of that situation. I think you're all not in markets where you just have condos downtown. Small space. So all you guys are, I think, benefiting as opposed to being hurt by this, what we're talking about. And then Steve, on your point, let's talk about technology. We all talk about Zoom and how that's changed. Tell us about other technologies that you've embraced that maybe you didn't utilize before, that maybe you utilize now and you're going to continue to utilize, or is it just Zoom? Is there other technologies that you're utilizing?
So one thing I had started long before COVID, about a year before COVID, there's a company back east in Pennsylvania called Home Actions, and they do an e-newsletter, okay? And they do a really good job of it, and they allow you to customize it yourself. So we'll find local articles and we'll put it into the newsletter. We have a message from me to my clients, and they have a great back end where you can see who's clicking on what. You can see your database, who suddenly maybe wasn't looking at things is now all of a sudden heating up. And so it gives you a way to do, smart analytics so you can strategically call your database where it makes sense. I started that a year before COVID. Well, as COVID hit, it was my lifeline to my clients. Like, this was my channel. Like, I think we all know that in like March 13th was like the big day where I think that's when the president even got on the evening news and said, this is okay, we're closing down the borders. But also the NBA was canceling games. My next newsletter was going like the next week, and my article was, how is COVID impact reads on it? Because all of a sudden I didn't have to figure out how am I going to communicate with my clients. I had the vehicle already set up. So Home Actions or some type of e-newsletter, I think is a really important piece for any realtor that's serious about staying in touch with their clients in a fluid manner that they can do on a repeated basis. Another tool technology we use, and again, this wasn't because of COVID, but I think it's worth sharing. Forewarn. It's I believe it's spelled FORWARN. It's kind of a background check. What's that, Vanessa?
Yes, FOREWARN.
Yeah. Do you use it yourself?
Yes.
Yeah. We initially got it for background checks because if for safety purposes, it's very much a safety tool, right? If you get a strange phone number that calls you and says, I want to meet you at a house, you can put that phone number in. It'll verify who the person is. It'll actually give you a criminal background check on them, as well as other things. But as valuable as it is for that, we've used it for so many other things in regards to finding people. If they change their number, we put their old number in, it gives us their new number. If we have sometimes we'll send a mailer out and somebody will email us and they don't want to give us a phone number. We can put them into tax records. So we kind of just, all of our systems work together so that we can flush out how to get a hold of people. And it's just been a really incredible, valuable tool in that regard.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. We'll come back over your way. Let's go over to Elisa in Humboldt and Houston and Kingwood. Elisa, different question for you. I know you're with Compass, and I've noticed Compass is everywhere now. And I know we have obviously people from all different broker owners and different, Sotheby's and Compass. But how long ago did you join Compass, and how has that affected what you've done with Compass? It seems like they're very active picking up new agents across the country in top markets.
I joined Compass November last year. It was quite a change for me. Compass, part of the reason I joined Compass was the technology. It's just been like nothing that I've seen before. They do actually really care about their agents. It was a different approach to a brokerage agent relationship. For Compass, the agents are their customers. So we're not just an individual just going out there doing whatever we want to do. We actually have a full support team, a full support staff, and they're always willing to listen to any ideas, make changes, and they make changes on a dime. So that was definitely something that moved and impressed me. And I could definitely see my business growing, which it has. Exponentially since I've been with Compass. Just the tools, the support, the technology, and just other Compass agents, the professionalism that we have, and we're in just every industry. I mean, since Compass has been here in the Houston area, we're #1 in every market right now. So to partner with a brokerage that is top in the community, and I think we've only been in Houston, I don't think it's been a full 2 years yet. So to have broken that record in such a short time, it tells you, what Compass has to offer. So the name carries a very strong weight by itself. And, just being able to work with other agents in other states. So I'm getting referrals from, different states, out of the country. It's definitely positioned my business in a direction that I'm looking forward to it going. So Compass for me so far has been a great move. I mean, with anything, there's challenges. You have to learn new tricks, but once you start to realize those tricks, the benefits that they have, it makes it a lot easier for you to conform. And the fact that you see everyone else going in the direction that they are being successful, it's easier for you to jump on that bandwagon and do the same thing. I mean, we're all selling homes. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. But definitely if someone's doing something and they're getting success at it, you could do the same thing and be, equally as successful. So that's what Compass has offered me in the short amount of time that I've been there.
So you switched during COVID, I guess, right? It sounds like.
Yes. They definitely offered me a package that I could not say no to. They said, hey, well, we see what you're doing and we would like to elevate your brand. And that's what they did for me. And that's the direction that we're headed. So yes, it was interesting, but I don't regret it. That's
awesome. And obviously it seems like it's working out good for you with you adding a couple people to your team. Seems like things.
And I do have, that support. A lot of people say, well, if you have a competing broker, it does make it a little difficult for you to learn. So at Compass, there's no competing. And that's what makes it, makes us a family so that we can continue to grow together. Because as I grow, they grow. So everyone is equally invested in you being successful. And that's important to me.
So on that note, you mentioned technology, because I do agree with you. I feel like Compass is definitely cutting edge technology. On that note, same question I asked Steve a few minutes ago. Is there any technology that you've used during COVID or besides the Compass technology, anything else that you found that you utilized and it's going to be here to stay for you that you like, that you maybe didn't use before COVID?
So to be honest with you, everything that I use right now has been Compass driven.
Besides Zoom, they don't on Zoom.
Besides Zoom, they are definitely trying to ensure that their agents do not have to go outside the brokerage for anything. So even if it's a platform that you do use and you make a recommendation to them, they're going to try to create something within the Compass platform that mimics that. So we're not having to spend excess money outside, doing other things. But I would say that Compass's CRM, I transformed to that. And that tool, similar to some of the stuff that Steve says, it introduced me to tracking my emails, outgoing bulk emails. I can see, how many people open them, the percentage. I can check ones that have incorrect email addresses. So, before I was just sending out stuff and I didn't know, I didn't have a proper way to track it. Compass CRM definitely helps you track everything. They help you, solicit new business. They help you identify when buyers and sellers are going to be ready. They help you identify when it's a good time to send out the mail-ins, the frequency, so they actually give you what I would say, a detailed outline. If you follow these things, the deals will come. So that has been a game changer for me. So instead of, kind of running in circles a little bit, you're actually just sitting down and you're managing your business. So that's where I definitely have seen the advantage of being with a brokerage like Compass.
Awesome. And so if someone came to you right now that's in Houston and says, hey, Elisa, I'm thinking about selling my property, but I just don't know if it's the right time. I don't know if I'll find a good property on the other end because inventory is so low, and because of COVID, I'm not sure I may wait. What would you say to them?
I would say now is always the time. The tools that we have, we're able to market, pre-market your property and definitely get your property seen in front of active buyers who are qualified and ready to buy. And then in the selling side, we're able to get your property out there in front of people who are actively looking to purchase a property that you're selling. So with the amount of agents that we have, your property is being marketed a lot faster, a lot more efficient. And then on the buying side, we have our own internal program so that I can get more properties to you quicker than, if you were to go with an agent that was not with such a large brokerage. So hopefully, and then Compass Tools, they have bridge loans, which we're able to, help you get into your new home first and then sell your home. So we have different programs that definitely help to bridge all those gaps. And that's a big program that a lot of our sellers who are concerned, hey, if I sell my house, well, where do I go? Well, hey, let's find you your house first and then sell your house after. We also have a concierge program, which allows you to make any kind of updates if you think that your home is outdated in some form, so that we can get you a larger return on your investment. We do have a program where, we can set aside a certain amount of funds to go ahead and have you make those repairs, redo the kitchen, redo your bathroom, areas where, you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck. So that way, when we sell your home, we get the most money out of it, and then we can get you into your, next home. So Compass does offer a lot to its clients. And like I said, the support to the agents is unmatched.
Terrific, terrific. We will come back over to you here shortly. Let's go over to Mrs. Carefree, Vanessa, who's living the carefree life over there. Vanessa.
Miss.
We'd love to find out. I know you mentioned the golf courses. We lost. Wait, hold on. Are you there? There you are. I think your phone fell down. You were so excited to be back on the air with us.
That's right.
So, in terms of your area, I know Carefree, and we talked a little bit about Scottsdale and the golf communities. Desert Mountain, I know, is a big golf community out there. Is there any other specific communities that you want to mention that are hot areas right now for golf, luxury resort for purchasing?
Yeah, for sure. No, Carefree is a sister city to Cave Creek.
Cave Creek, of course.
Yeah, if you think of Scottsdale, there's Scottsdale Road, which runs north and south all the way through from top to bottom. It dead ends in the far north at in Carefree and Cave Creek, and just to the east of that, where it dead ends, it's still Scottsdale, and that's where Desert Mountain is, and Mirabel and Estancia, and another big one is down by my office in Carefree, but technically Scottsdale zip code Terra Vita. That's another golf club. And I won't forget Rancho Manana. Then I just sold a big place in Whisper Rock, which is ultra private and very long waiting list as well. And let's see, Paradise Valley, of course, and which is down to the south in Scottsdale for those that don't know about it yet. And in between, we have just, gosh, several hundred golf courses. And
wow. I didn't know you guys had that many golf courses.
Seems like several hundred, but we have actually, I've forgotten the actual number, it's 2 something. But the Prince, Four Seasons, we've got that as well. Troon North course is public, and Troon Country Club is private. That's huge. That's kind of right in the middle. And Silverleaf has gotten huge as well. And that's just a little bit north. And sorry, the wind out here.
That wind.
Yeah, feel like I'm in
no virtual screen for you. This is real life here.
And of course,
to
right
the point that Steve said you want to make it live and real. There we go.
Really. And right next to my office, I can't forget to mention, of course, the Boulders Resort. Again, Boulders is huge as well, because it's such a landmark. It has a huge rock pile, and it was originally built by the Rockefellers, and then Waldorf Astoria took over, and now it's a Hilton Curio hotel. And we have many homes and casitas there. And then, of course, Four Seasons near Troon. That's very huge. And the Biltmore down in Scottsdale. And these are all huge resort areas. I'm trying to think of the large, and the Phoenician. We have our own casino now, the Talking Stick, which is over by Westworld, which is where the Barrett-Jackson car auction is every February. And all year, we have events going on in our city all year long, from golf tournaments to car events to international horse shows, which I'm involved in quite a bit, the Arabian Horse Show, and the quarter horses have gotten huge, the reining horses, and in all of your states as well. And I don't think in Belize, though, I don't think we have cutters down there yet for reining horses. But it's just been amazing. I think I've gotten most of the resorts. What was the other question?
Well, I was going to ask you, I think you answered the one I just asked, but I'll have another one for you. We talked a little bit, obviously, about Compass in Houston, and with regard to Russ Lyon, and I know I mentioned this earlier, I'm intrigued by Russ Lyon because I feel like Russ Lyon's marketing is just incredible, not only locally, but globally. I see them everywhere, and I'm always impressed being in the industry, obviously from the media standpoint, but I'm just very impressed. There's certain brands that stick out to you, and Russ Lyon just stands out to me, not only locally, but globally. I feel like they just do a great job. And how does Russ Lyon help you as well as an agent and to sell properties and for your clients?
Well, they have tremendously, and remember that it's Russ Lyon Sotheby's now. They are partners and not separate, and they've merged. And since they've merged, Sotheby's is amazing, and
Nancy can agree with that.
Yeah, they're a true global leader, and they are. Some people don't think that the auction house has anything to do with and each office is franchised. It is a franchise, but it is Russ Lyon Sotheby's International Realty now. It's not one or the other in Arizona. And what's that?
That's a whole sentence. That's not a word. That's a sentence.
Yeah, I know.
International Sotheby's.
It is. But we can go with Russ Lyon Sotheby's, but International Realty, they ask us to say the whole thing. So, but I will tell you, no, the numbers are phenomenal, and they're just climbing as far as the agents and the offices, and the sales have just been off the charts. We just crushed it this last we still have a few, 5 months to finish out the year, but their marketing, they spend a good couple $1 million on digital marketing and print still. And then also with the ties to their auction house and their very elite clientele, we can market to them as well. And it's been quite phenomenal. And the tools and the instructors and the guidance and the leads and the quality, they call it a white glove service that we've been known for and people expect, just excuse me.
Oh, there we go.
Great.
A little action and Carefree. Carefree's not quite as carefree as we thought. Be careful of Carefree.
Yes. We're just carefree here. Come and see. But no, it's a phenomenal brand, and I'm very. They are unrivaled and unmatched as far as the numbers, and the people are happy. And one of the questions, I don't want to jump ahead of you, but are you going about advice we'd have for new aspiring agents? Was really the attitude of our people and the Ninja program that we go through. If any of you are familiar with it, it's all about the attitude, and it's not so much about the paperwork and the transactions as much as the attitude, how we treat people, the clients and the other agents. And that's something that they're instilling in our company quite a bit, about having a calmer attitude and treat everybody well, as we all should. But everybody does. We all have moments, right?
I think we lost the signal. Is that just me, or can you guys not hear her also?
We can't hear.
Yeah, I think we lost the signal. All right, well, we'll come back over to her. Let's go over to Belize, to Carlo. And Belize, Carlo, I know that you have your own brokerage, as opposed to, I know Steve's the same way, where he's a broker owner. And so the question for you is, obviously that makes it very unique, and there's a lot of benefits to running your own company. How has that been for you as compared to previously? You probably worked for a larger company. How has that transition been? What's the benefits of running your own company?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess that's something that was running through my mind as I'm listening to everyone speaking about their very large, well-supported companies. And I mean, I'm the little guy. Belize does have a fair amount of larger brokerage franchises represented, such as we have Remax here for a long time, 2021, Keller Williams more recently. But I feel that's something that Vanessa said. It's very what's the word? I mean, it means everything in that the attitude of the person, of the agent, of the firm, and I think that's sort of our mantra in a way too, is that everybody that we eventually recruit, as a part of the team. So actually before COVID, we were only a 5-person team, and I think that we were sort of overperforming the size that we were. And actually right before COVID, we had plans to expand and really bring in agents especially, but also do more with communications. So during COVID, we said, well, we got to push ahead. So actually now we have a 9-person team. And I'm actually quite proud of everyone to see that, faced with the challenge, or what seemed like a challenge, we were able to kind of push through and now kind of come out the other side stronger. Things are looking even better, forecasted, at least based on what we're seeing. Everything is trending upward, and we're really poised. Also, the franchises here don't tend to be much bigger either. So while we're competing with bigger names, they're still by and large just professionals, and dare I say it, we're just more professional, right? So we have a lot of people that commend us basically on our professionalism, one, but secondly, on our response. I don't know if this is an issue in the US. I know it's more competitive there, but here, one of the big problems is that people can't seem to get information that they want when they need it to make decisions that they need to make. They feel like people kind of leave them hanging. They don't know who to trust. With us, we think that's not a problem at all. They're able to find some people that really want to guide them to make the best decision, And I think that's what we try to do. We try to like learn our client, understand what they really want, and then present the options that we really believe fit them. But of course, you know, the client is always right. So if they decide throughout the course that they want something else, we present that, you know, we take that. We also work very well with other agents from other brokerages. We have good relationships throughout the country, which I think, you know, I think that's a big plus because it essentially gives us access to everything in the country. So if someone likes dealing with us, we can broker anything for them. And that's not really the same for everyone in Belize, especially because, like I mentioned, the industry is still not quite an industry. You know, one thing we've been pushing for at the BNAR really hard the last couple of years, especially, was licensing regulations. And currently, we don't have it. But luckily, you know, the BNAR, with our bilateral with the NAR, we have a code of ethics. And so we think that that provides us too with an edge, that people understand that, you know, we subscribe to something that is even higher than the law in lots of, I mean, as you guys know, I mean, the NAR really, you know, started the whole self-regulation thing. So with that, we feel like we get the trust. And then from there, it's just about us delivering. And I think for us, pricing is one major thing. We try not to take properties that we can't sell, first of all. And secondly, we try to be transparent with our buyers as well, and also encourage independent valuations, things like that, that can put their mind at ease. Again, if they're feeling somehow that they might want their own, you know, closing agent, we say, well, look, here's a list of some lawyers you can choose from, for instance. So I think transparency is a big thing. As far as, I don't know if there was a question about the advice, but I'm really good at that attitude idea. I just feel that people come into the market. It's crazy, and I don't know how you guys were. I know when I was just coming in, I was like, what, maybe like 12 years ago. I took about, I think like a year to sell my first property. It took a while, and Belize is a smaller market. It's much tougher. There's just less buyers and less product. But anyway, after that point, I finally said, okay, now I'm an agent because I sold something. But now people are coming into the market like day one. They're like, oh, I'm a real estate agent. And I was like, what do you have to prove that you're actually an agent? You know, so I feel
especially, did I hear you
into the market?
Especially since they don't even have a license, right? Did I hear you say that? Somebody can walk in off the street on Monday, like Monday they can be doing something else, and on Tuesday they'll be like, okay, I'm gonna go sell houses, and they get hired. And is that how it works?
Essentially. And so like me, for instance, actually did take coursework in real estate, actually, well, it was in Texas too, because they have very similar property laws to Belize. But many agents in Belize, they don't do that. You might be surprised to know that some of those same people go to work for these franchises, right? So it's this idea that a franchise is gonna, you know, be the safest thing is not necessarily true in Belize. I think you have to kind of get to know your person, your agent, whoever that is, who you're working with. And again, just for us, we just try to be super transparent from the very beginning about everything. I mean, for me, I'm not just here to sell, but I'm here to sell something that someone could be happy with. Because when I'm done, I want a referral, right? That's how I look at it.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. And you know, we obviously have, all you guys could be referrals for each other. I'll connect you guys afterwards. We have a lot of great partners across all of our network, and we love connecting them with referrals as well. So I know, you know, we definitely want to do that afterwards. Have you seen any the technology question? I feel like for your market in Belize, you could probably make some sales virtually, right? I mean, you probably made some sales with technology virtually without anyone actually seeing the land or without seeing the property, correct?
Yeah, it does happen, especially for smaller parcels that are in these high demand areas that people are very sure of, and especially if they've come once before and they're familiar with the area. So yeah, I mean, I think early on in the COVID, we were doing a lot of the virtual tours, and we did do a couple of virtual closings. But still, I find that because we are focusing really more on higher price properties, investment properties, things also that are more for developers to an extent. You notice we have a lot of land, a lot of raw land, but great parcels. People still want to come down, kick the tires, do the numbers. And I think that's probably what separates me from a lot of other agents here, is that while they work with a lot of consumers, I'm really more of an investment agent. I'm dealing more with commercial, more with investment, local and foreign. But I also do a lot of local business, actually, which I take a lot of pride in, because I think I have a good network. And if these guys are able to look at me and say, you know what, I want to close this deal, it's reasonable enough, then I know it was really a good deal. So I think that success rate with the locals gives me a lot of confidence. And I think that translates over to the foreigners, because I think one thing I've seen, a lot of foreign investors are really scared of price gouging. And sometimes that could be something that kind of puts them off for a long time from buying something that is really perfect for them. But again, knowing that I have the pricing balance, I think it helps them to make that decision a lot easier, essentially. But the tech, sorry, back to the tech. What's great, and actually I remarked this right around when COVID started, is that the sort of tools that we have at our disposal right now that allow us to do things like have webinars, touch like hundreds of people at once, the CRM platforms that are available today at the cost that they are, the varying websites, map searches, all of these great tools, they're like almost free. And so it just leaves the ball in our court as agents to just do our job, which is to really act on behalf of our clients, because that's what an agent is, right? It's someone that acts for someone else. So I think the tech just makes it easier for us to focus on what we do best, which is to get great properties and then sell them to great clients.
Very well said. And I got to tell you, I love your logo with the 4 and the realty, and it's very cool. Yeah,
Thank you.
I didn't notice it at first, but I'm looking at it closer now. Being in media and advertising, that's a super cool logo. I don't know if that's your first logo you came out with, or if it changed over time. But that's an awesome logo. Thanks.
So I actually do have another company that's an advertising agency. So and that it's a really good synergy with real estate, right? So yeah, so it's not my first, but thank you. I'm glad you like it. Actually, there's like a colored version. Sorry?
You got to look closely at the logo, and then you see all these different things about it that you didn't notice at first. When you look at it a second time, there's a lot going on. It's cool.
Thank you.
Sorry.
No, it is. Yeah.
Talking. Go ahead.
Oh, no. Just say that there's actually a colored version of it too, but I guess for this layout, they just dropped the white on for me. But thank you. I really appreciate that feedback.
Yeah, no, very cool. So yeah, let's go over now to Utah. And Utah, and I know actually Steve touched on this earlier. Remember when the NBA canceled March 13th? That was around the time last year, and we were all freaking out. My moment when I realized this was serious, and probably the moment that a lot of people, probably you, Steve, too. I'm a basketball fan, and I'm watching the Utah Jazz, Rudy Gobert, and Nancy, this is because of you. He plays for Utah, and he was the first. No, this was something that no one even took seriously, and then they canceled the game because Rudy Gobert tested positive for COVID, and that was it. Like from that moment on, like a week later, we're on lockdown. You know, it was crazy. And Nancy, you probably remember. You probably remember that. Well,
I do.
Yeah,
I was in LA the weekend before, and I think it was the day that I came home. My husband had the TV on, and that was what was going on.
I feel bad for him because he got in fights with his teammates. They were all upset with him that he got it, and they didn't think he was being cautious. And everything's fine now. I know Donovan Mitchell got it, their other star, too. But that was my moment when I was like, wow, this COVID stuff. It was on like the back page for me until then. Now, all right, this is a little more serious than we thought. And from that moment on, it was pretty crazy. So I just thought of that with Utah. I'm a basketball. NBA draft is tonight too. I don't know if anyone else is a basketball fan, but. So on that note, tell us more about for you. I know the challenge has been inventory. Okay, tell us more about that. Can people still get a nice property right now for a good price if you're buying or selling? Tell us more about what you'd advise people right now for your market for solar.
Well,
what
we like to say is that we just don't have what we call standing inventory. We have, our inventory is down to record lows. For example, I think the previous low in 2017 was like 1,700 homes on the market. And at the end of Q2, it was 750. So we're super low. But that doesn't take into account all the properties coming on and off, that penned quickly. And so, so we don't have a lot of what we call standing inventory, but there are a lot of opportunities to purchase. And a lot of these properties are going under contract before they even hit the market because, we happen to know about someone in our office who's listing something that's a good match for one of our clients. I mean, I personally just bought a little investment property that was off market. So there's definitely opportunities, but I would say, this is not a do-it-yourself buyer market at all. You really have to be working with the right professional. One of my listings, there was a couple and they wrote an offer and they told me it was like their 4th house that they had written an offer on. And they didn't get my listing in multiple offers. Then I listed another house in the same neighborhood. These same people, again, tried to compete for that house, didn't get it. And it was because they were working with an agent who wasn't skilled enough to help them write competitive offers in our market, or she didn't get the offers in quickly enough. So you definitely need to be working with the right professional, someone who's connected to other agents and someone who, will drop everything, write a good offer for you, get it to the listing agent. I mean, those are critical factors right now.
And that's great points. And I've heard that a lot in talking with people, consumers. I'm a consumer myself and not an agent. And I can tell you that you can't mess around right now. I mean, this is a time where you need to get the best who has the connections to make things happen and make it work. Otherwise, you're going to be sitting there making 5, 6, 7, 8 offers and have nothing. Right now is the time, and that's one of the reasons we're seeing people like yourself have record years, and then maybe the other agents that are in the middle are not getting stuff because people are just not messing around. You're not going with a friend down the street during this situation. You need a veteran that has the connections and can give you the advice. And on that note, we talked about this before, and you do this for us too. You write a blog and you like to write. Tell us more about where we can find those blogs on your website and some of the topics you talk about, which is probably some topics like this.
Oh yeah, so my website is insideparkcityrealestate.com, and that's where the blog lives. And I do send it out to people in my database once a week. So, Steve.
I don't think you put me on there yet. I don't get your email.
Okay, well then I need to.
How do I register?
You can register on the website, but I'm
going to go. I'm going right now.
I'll make sure you get it. You don't have
to register.
And so I write about lifestyle, Park City lifestyle, restaurants, skiing, but I also write about the market. But I don't write only about the market because people want to know more than real estate. However, this past I publish it every Wednesday. And so yesterday we did a full summary of the market in Q2 and compared Q2 of this year to last year. And, it's just off the charts. We do, the Park City Board of Realtors does what they call a 12-month rolling average. So what we do is compare Q2 1 year, 12 months back compared to Q2 of the previous year, 12 months back. And I mean, it's just the volume was up 154% year over year. The average sale price was up like almost 50% year over year.
Crazy.
Median price, huge. I mean, the median price right now for a single family home in the Park City limits is $3 million. Average price for Park City limits is $3,242,000. I mean, wow. That's insane. Like even we working here can't believe that.
That's crazy. Mm-hmm. In a good way for you.
Well, it does help, with your sales volume and especially if you don't cut your commission, which I don't. So it definitely helps, working with more expensive properties. But, we work 3 times as hard. I mean, you put something on the market and just because it sells fast doesn't mean that it's less work. I mean, if you have to cull through multiple offers and do counters to all of those buyers, I mean, it's the same.
You gotta price it right too right now, because I think a lot of agents are coming in that aren't as experienced as you guys, and they're promising things that that just are not true, and they're not pricing it right. And then there could be a huge swing of how you price that property, make it work. You need really good advice for that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you don't want to leave money on the table, but you don't want to overprice it. You have to price it just that right price so that you get offers and you get good offers. But I had a listing and we put it on the market, I think second week of June, and it took maybe we had 12, 13 showings before we got our first offer, and it wasn't full price. And my clients were like, how come we didn't get a full price offer? And I'm like, you know what? In any other market, you could have been kissing the ground for this offer. This is a good offer. It's, 97% of asking. And we ended up getting them up to like 98% of asking. But it was a great offer. But people are, they read in the newspaper that, oh, every house is selling for 110% of list price. And
crazy expectations.
Yeah, it creates a false reality because not every house is selling like that. And some of them are underpriced intentionally. So.
Yeah. Well, I know that it's 5:40 my time, which is, I guess, I know different time zones here, but I know we're about 40 minutes after what we originally thought. So I'm almost out of time, but I usually go to everyone one last time before the end to get your last thoughts. I guess because we're so late, let's do a speed round. You guys are cool with that? Like 45 seconds each. Give us your last thoughts. And if you go longer, that's cool. But I don't want to get in trouble over here. And I know you guys have the NBA draft coming tonight for me. Steve, you got the vineyard over there. So let's start with Steve in the vineyard before happy hour. Let's hear anything you want to talk about. We'd love to hear it. For your last thoughts.
You mentioned earlier in this how, COVID was here, then we thought it was behind us, and now it looks like maybe it's not. And while I know there's a lot of people out there in different industries, and that is daunting too, right? I mean, think of the restaurant or travel industries. I think we're blessed and fortunate to be in our industry because we know what that looks like. And we can power through it, even if it is, masks and lockdowns of some sort, which we all hope it isn't. So I guess I would just leave with, that gratitude that, we're fortunate. We did go through a horrific downturn 10 years ago. And so we've done our time in jail in the bad part of the industry, in the bad industry, in a recession or in a bad time. I guess I feel fortunate to be this time in the industry that's weathering things pretty well. Maybe we're not quite as good as golf, but we're pretty darn close.
Yeah, very well said. And you're certainly nailed on the head there with that, because I've got a lot of friends in the hospitality business, and they have not been very happy. Things are coming back around now, but I think that we are all blessed to be in the real estate business during COVID, because that's been a business that's still stayed fluid and been very hot. So, and the best of taking advantage of that, and that's, you guys are the best, but you're definitely hit the nail on the head. This industry has been luckier than some other ones for sure, 100%. And the Olympics are another one. We're watching the Summer Olympics from last year with no fans. So, very, very well said. And thank you for joining us. Stay on with us so you can hear the other guys' thoughts, and then we'll wrap up. So thank you very much. Over to you, Elisa. Anything that you want to share with everyone?
Yeah, just one last thing. As we, keep talking about COVID and just the strain that it's put on us. I am an Army combat vet and served my time in Iraq. And as far as that seems so long ago, COVID has definitely brought back a lot of those memories from that time with everything that we are facing. So I'm happy to be a real estate agent today because I'm able to use my skill set in order to help other veterans and just help anyone else that's looking to make home ownership or selling a home a reality. So I'm really happy that I chose this industry, and I'm happy that I'm doing it at the time that I am doing it in. My disciplines and skill sets have just been crucial in my success and just giving my all to my clients. Everyone that I've met have just left such a warm spot in my heart. And especially during a time like COVID, all my clients have just turned around and turned into friends and family. So just want to say that we just keep the ball rolling. Realtors, we are keeping this world moving. That's our job. And the people that we meet along the way are bonus. So it's nice to have met everyone here on this panel today. And I look forward to referring people to you, and likewise. Thank you.
Very well said. You prepared that. You were ready for that.
No.
How do you know I was gonna ask that question? That was very, very, very good. Very impressive. Thank you so much for joining us as well. And we look forward to having you back on again. And I'm of course gonna connect you guys afterwards as well with all your contact info. Now let's go over to Vanessa. Hopefully Vanessa, you're back online. We lost you for a second earlier. Are you there, Vanessa? I don't think she was there. Yeah, I don't think it's working for Vanessa. So let's come back over to her. Let's go over to Carlo in Belize. Carlo, we'd love to get any last thoughts on you from you in terms of anything that you want to share with the audience out there. We'd love to hear it.
Sure. I mean, well, I just wanted to, first of all, thank you guys at Haute Living and Haute Residence for making this possible. You guys are great partners. I'd like to also thank the other panelists. Really, it was a pleasure to meet you guys and kind of listen to your thoughts and seeing what's happening in your markets, which actually are all very interesting markets. And a lot of them actually do relate to Belize with a lot of your residents actually coming here over the years. So looking forward to continue our relationship down the road as well. But I just wanted to, I guess, mention, you know, as an agent, as a broker, and as my plug, Belize has been weathering the COVID storm very well. I think we've kind of straddled sort of like, you know, that very fine line between health and economy. I think that people have been seeing that, and I think it's kind of positioned us for a real breakout that's already kind of happening with tourism and investment. And we're actually pushing forward a lot of great plans. The new government is very business friendly, very investment friendly. So I'm looking forward really to a lot from the Belizean market, and I just want to kind of make that clear to all, you know, you guys are foreign agents, foreign buyers, people are looking at Belize. It's a great time, and we're well positioned. We're a great country, right? So with that said, thank you guys again so very much. And, you know, if you want to, you know, visit us, please check our website or call us directly. I'm happy to talk and give any advice directly.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Carlo. We look forward to having you on again soon. And very well said. And thank you so much for your partnership and for all the great advice as well. We really appreciate it big time. And I know Belize is definitely an up-and-coming market and a hot market. And looking forward to seeing great things from you and helping you out as you move forward as well.
Thank you.
Then over to Nancy in Park City. Nancy, would love any last thoughts from you as well for anything you want to discuss with us. We'd love to hear it.
Well, again, thanks, Eric, for having me on this panel, and good to meet all of you. And just want to tell all of you panelists and anyone else that's listening, Park City, you know, is only about 25 minutes from Salt Lake International Airport. And that's really what makes us such a popular destination from all over the country and even all over the world. And we, you know, this week I negotiated an offer from a guy from Colombia, which that was a first. We don't get a lot of South Americans. A lot of times they go to Colorado, but I think they're, you know, with a lot of flights canceled, they are learning about Park City, and maybe we'll get someone from Belize. You never know. I do know that it's a popular retirement destination for people who are leaving Park City, who are tired of the snow and are trading it for the beaches. So anyway, look forward to assisting you and your clients in the future.
Okay, well said, Nancy. And we actually would love to, if you have that blog you wrote about like year to year, we'd love to publish that on our end too. If you want to shoot that over to me, that sounds like some great content and definitely something that we love to we love to let our audience know about as well. So thank you so much for all the great content and being a great partner. We look forward to having you on again soon, and we look forward to another update soon as well. And it sounds like things are rolling, and it's just a matter of getting the inventory in your neck of the woods and making sure that the inventory is there, which it sounds like it's still going good based on your report, quarter to quarter, 3 million average. That's a wonderful thing. So thanks everyone for joining us. Steve, Elisa, Vanessa, Carlo, Nancy, you guys have been amazing. We went almost hour and 45 minutes. I think it's the longest one I've ever done, but you guys have all been, we could have gone a lot longer as well. And I know that Steve could probably run this thing for me next time and make it a lot faster. So we may have to talk about that, Steve. I may take a break and have have you run one of these. But thanks so much, guys, for joining us. We're gonna have a full video of this that we're gonna download on YouTube and put an article on our website. We've obviously been live on Facebook as well as Zoom. Thanks everyone for joining us out there. We look forward to having you guys back again really soon. Thanks everyone. NBA draft is tonight. Anyone who wants to go to the vineyards, Belize, skiing, and Houston, of course, I know Houston's got everything. So did I not cover anyone? Oh, Vanessa, golfing. There we go. Vanessa's golfing. So thanks again, everyone. Look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.